So, what does it really take to build a society from the ground up? I mean, not just with bricks and mortar, but with things like trust and compassion and real resilience. Today, we're going to travel back to 7th century Al-Madeenah to explore 3 foundational stories. And what they show us is a kind of timeless blueprint for community, built on pillars that are just as relevant now as they were back then.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with this one powerful idea. This verse, it's not just a nice thought. It was a radical, totally revolutionary charter for a new kind of society. A society where the most important bond wasn't your tribe or how much money you had or your status. It was your faith and the brotherhood that comes from it.
And look, the stories we're about to dive into, they aren't just fables or myths. They actually come from historical sources, just like this page right here, documenting the life of the Prophet Muhammad. Grounding ourselves in the historical record lets us see not just the big ideals, but how they were actually put into practice by real people in real time.
Okay, so what did this new foundation actually look like on the ground? Well, you have to remember, this was a world defined entirely by tribal lineage, where your family name was basically your destiny. The community in Al-Madeenah was being built in a principle that flipped that entire world upside down.
Just take a second to think about how profound that is. It literally meant that your brother in faith could be closer to you, more deserving of your loyalty and your support than your own cousin if they didn't share that bond. This wasn't just some small tweak, it was a complete rewiring of social identity. And we see this idea come to life in our very first pillar. Our first pillar is all about selfless giving. And honestly, there is no better way to understand this than through the story of a man named Abu Talha and his garden. This wasn't just any piece of land. It was a lush, tranquil oasis, and it was the most beloved garden in all of Al-Madeenah.
And this beautiful account, it's carefully preserved right here in the historical record. The whole story centers on this one moment where a divine revelation meets a human heart that was just completely ready to respond.
Imagine hearing these words for the very first time. True piety, true righteousness, it isn't found in giving away your spare change or, your second best coat. It's found in sacrificing the very thing you love the most. And for Abu Talha, that was his garden, Bayruha.
And his response was immediate. He went straight to the prophet and just gave it all away. But the wisdom that comes next is just as crucial. The prophet praised the Kudha act, calling it profitable wealth, but then he advised him to give it to his own relatives. This reveals a much deeper lesson. True charity is selfless for sure, but it's also wise. It starts at home, strengthening the family unit first.
But a community built only on giving can accidentally create dependency. That first pillar really needs a counterbalance. And that brings us to our second pillar, empowerment. We see this perfectly through the story of a man named Abdurrahman ibn Auf.
This story, also grounded firmly in the historical record, shows us the other side of the coin. It takes us from the cool, shaded greens of the garden to the warm amber dust of a bustling marketplace. And this slide, right here, it captures the pivotal moment perfectly. On one side, his brother in faith, Saad, makes this unbelievable offer, half of everything he owns. It's the spirit of Abu Talha's generosity in action. But Abdurrahman's response is just as incredible. He doesn't want a handout. He wants a hand up. He asks for a path to stand on his own feet, not a piece of someone else's success.
So he was shown the way to the market, and he started trading simple goods, things like cheese and cooking fat. Through his own hard work and business smarts, he didn't just survive, he absolutely thrived. He was able to get married and build his own life. This story is the essential partner to the first one. It teaches us that true brotherhood empowers people, giving them the dignity of standing on their own 2 feet.
So we have selfless giving, and we have dignified work. But a community is so much more than just an economy, right? Our final pillar moves beyond money and material things and into the realm of the soul, teaching us the importance of balance through sincere, mutual advice. And our final account, documented right here, is a really personal story between 2 brothers in faith, Salman al-Farsi and Abu ad-Darda. It shows that community care extends right into the 4 walls of your own home.
So Salman goes to visit his brother, and he finds that Abu ad-Darda is so consumed by his worship, prayer, and fasting that he's neglecting his health, his sleep, and even his wife. He's going all in on one area of his life, but at the expense of everything else. He's totally out of balance.
This was Salman's advice. It was gentle, but it was firm. And it's just this incredible, holistic vision for life. Your devotion to God has a right over you, yes, but so does your body's need for rest. Your spiritual health is a right, but so is your family's need for your time and your love. It's a formula for a balanced life.
This shows us that true brotherhood isn't just about encouragement and support. It's also about accountability. It's about having people in your life who care enough about you to pull you back from extremes. And when the prophet later heard about what happened, he confirmed it completely, saying, "Salman has spoken the truth." That really sealed the deal, enshrining this principle of balance as a cornerstone of the community.
All right, so we've looked at 3 pillars, 3 incredible stories. Let's take a step back now and see how they all weave together to form this complete, coherent blueprint for a healthy, functioning society.
Here they are, all together. You have selfless giving, which is born from pure compassion. You have dignified work, which creates empowerment. And you have mutual counsel, which ensures balance. You can see how they all need each other, right? Generosity without empowerment could be unsustainable. Empowerment without generosity could become selfish. And both, without the wisdom of mutual counsel, well, they could lead a person, or even a whole society, to ruin.
And that's the whole picture. The compassion that was born in the garden, the empowerment that was found in the market, and the balance that was maintained right there in the home. Together, they create this dynamic, resilient, and deeply humane model for what a community can be.
These stories are over 1,400 years old, and yet, the principles just feel so timeless. It leaves us with a final question to think about. In our own lives, in our own communities and countries, how are we balancing these essential pillars? Selfless giving, dignified work, and that sincere mutual care. What does it take to build a truly balanced community today?